A burst of hiring last month sent the jobless rate down 2 notches to 8.5%. It is the lowest level in almost 3 years. It's also the 6th month in a row that the economy has added at least 100,000 jobs. And President Obama says the nation is making some real improvements, but that too many Americans are still struggling. Senior business and economics correspondent Anthony Mason has more on yesterday's numbers.
The economy picked up speed in December with the job market showing surprising strength. The 200,000 new jobs added in the month was the best showing since September.
Is the economy stronger than you thought it would be at this point?
It is. It's held up better than we had expected.
Economist Julia Coronado liked the gain in manufacturing jobs.
Those are good jobs, good high-quality jobs.
And the economy added 23,000 of them. In Illinois, Bison Gear and Engineering is hiring. CEO Martin Swarbrick's company makes gearboxes and motors for everything from railroad crossing arms to treadmills.
Last year we hired just over 20 folks, and this year we could be hiring about the same again.
But more than 13 million Americans are still out of work, and even at this rate of job growth, it'll take at least 3 to 5 more years for employment to return to pre-recession levels. Anthony Mason, CBS News, New York.
And for more on the economy, we're joined by Ann Sonders. She's Chief Investment Strategist for Charles Schwab. Great to have you with us, as always, Ann.
Thank you.
So you see this jobs report come out, a lot better than many were expecting. The stock market, this is what surprised me. The stock market didn't really reflect any positivity. Did that surprise you?
Never be surprised by what the stock market does. I think if we hadn't had the jump in the beginning of the year and also the strength that we saw in December, that may have been a different story. But I think what happens oftentimes is buy on the rumor, sell on the news. So there had been some hope that the jobs number would be better. I think there was a lot of anticipatory buying, and it was an excuse for profit taking. Any given day in the market, it's going to do maybe something a little bit different than what that day's economic numbers suggest is appropriate, but that's just the nature of the beast.
There were a lot of seasonal hires, or we assume that there were in the month of December. Those can be temporary jobs that relate to the holidays. How big of a number is that 200,000 then, given that it's a December month?
Well, the one surprise in the number was over 40,000 of the jobs created were in couriers and messengers. And there's some sense that that may be a function of holiday sales being more biased to online sales and the need to get all of those packages shipped. Some of it is business, and it's long term, and it relates to better business environment. But we'll have to see how much of a fall off we get. So December numbers can be a little tricky. That said, hiring was across the board. It wasn't just in messengers and couriers. It was across most of the sectors, and that was good news.
Do you think that the likelihood that people are going to start changing their growth estimates for this year is high? And do you think it's a positive bias as opposed to a negative bias?
I think it is a positive bias because of the strength we saw in the latter part of 2011 that I think surprised a lot of economists. So you could get possibly 4% growth in the fourth quarter of 2011, yet estimates for the first half of 2012 are quite low, something in the sub 2% range. And I think that's too wide a gap, and I think that gap will narrow by economists raising at least slightly first half numbers.
Where do you expect it to be, the unemployment rate to be in November, right before the elections?
You know what? I would never attempt to forecast or game the numbers. I think we're going to see a steady decline. It'll be probably a little bit volatile, which is the nature of the unemployment numbers, but a steady decline. No sharp decline, I think, can be expected, unfortunately. I think this will be a long process.
Somewhere above 8% still?
By November, by the election, it's possible we could go to under 8% if the kind of traction we've seen recently holds.
All right, Ann Sonders, as always, thank you so much.
Thanks,
Have
Rebecca.
a great weekend.